Once upon a time in the Boma kingdom lived three brothers, Gozie, Ikena, and Chima. Gozie had died, leaving his wife Inikira. Inikira was a widow, she had no children. However, her brother-in-law Ikena was always pestering her. He wanted to take over her, he wanted to marry her. But Inikira rejected this. One day Ikena came pestering her and telling her that he wants to marry her. Inikira asked him to leave many times, but he refused to leave. So she went in and got a bucket of water and poured it on him. Ikena was angry. He left. However, he kept pestering Inikira, and everyone in the kingdom knew this. Inikira went to her other brother-in-law, Chima, and told Chima to tell Ikena to leave her alone. She didn't want rumors to be going around the village. She wanted to be left alone. Her husband had left her a small piece of land, and she was trying to manage that land to provide for herself. Chima, the next day, went to meet his brother Ikena. And he told Ikena that he should leave Inikira alone. She was their brother's widow. She is in grief. Leave that woman alone. My friend, will you shut up? Will you shut up? I would marry her and nobody will say anything. That is tradition. Brother, leave that woman alone. She has tried. She is going through a lot. Leave her alone. But Ikena refused to heed his brother's advice and chased him out of his house. The following night, Ikena went to Inikira's house and he tried to rape her. But Inikira took a stick and used it to hit his head. He started bleeding. The whole village laughed at him the following day. So you allowed the woman to hit you? When you be following her up and down, that woman has told you to leave her alone, but you refused. So the villagers told him. Ikena was very angry. A few weeks later, as he was on his way to the market, he saw that Inikira was farming in Chima's farm. You woman, what are you doing here? Is your husband's land not enough for you? Inikira explained that Chima had given her this land so she can have more things to harvest and sell and make a living for herself. Chima allowed her to use the land, so Ikena should stop disturbing her. What do you mean? Chima gave you this land? Immediately, Ikena went to Chima and told him, how can you give that woman your land? We should even be taking the land that Gozie left for her. Brother, what is that? That is not fair. The woman has no one to take care of her, and that is why I gave her my land. Leave her alone. She's our brother's widow. We should take care of her, not torment her. Okay, you people will see. I will deal with you, Ikena said. Now, the following day, Ikena told his wife and daughter that he was going to see his cousin in the Akuku village. As he left their kingdom, heading towards Akuku village, he told everyone he could see on the road that he was going to see his cousin and he will not be back until a few days. He waved bye and left. However, the day he left, that night, Inikira died. The following day, when her body was found, people started shouting, who could have done this to her? Some people suspected that it could have been Ikena that had a hand in her death. But the problem was, Ikena was not in the village that day. He wasn't even back the following day when her body was found. And everyone saw when he left the kingdom. It couldn't have been him. Now, because Inikira, her husband had died and she had no children, no one to really ask what happened, she was buried. A few months after her burial, it was announced that Chima will now be the new king. Everyone was happy because Chima was a nice man. Chima and his wife Chinelo were very grateful. Now their lives would turn around. The only person who was not happy was Ikena. Why are you not happy? His wife asked him. Chima is your brother. Now we are part of the royal family. My friend, will you shut up? How can they make him king when I'm here? I am his older brother. I should be made king. Is he smarter than me? Is he better than me? Don't say that. He is your brother. What he has is also yours. But Ikena was not happy. On the day of the coronation, many people came. They came to make merry, to eat and drink and congratulate Chima. The chief priest was there, and the chief priest placed the crown on his head and gave him the ofo. Immediately he stood up. His family and friends came up to hug him. One of such people was Ikena. After that, Chima sat on the throne, and the merriment continued. Now, at night, when he had retired to his bedchambers with his wife, he was telling her how grateful he was. The gods have answered their prayer. Chinelo, his wife, was happy. Now they could help change the kingdom for better. They both slept. However, as Chinelo woke up the following day, her husband did not wake up. Chinelo screamed and called for the guards. And when they arrived, indeed, Chima had died. He had died the night before. The Onuhu, the cabinet members, and Ikena, his brother, were sent for. Ikena shouted, "You, Chinelo, you're the one that killed my brother. You're the one that saw him last. What do you mean by he died mysteriously? What did you give him to eat?" Chinelo shouted, "How dare you? How dare you accuse me of killing my husband?" Chinelo was weeping. People were consoling her. Now is not the time, the one who told Ikena. Now we have to bury Chima. And so Chima was buried. However, a strange thing started happening after his burial. Chima's spirit began to appear to everyone in the kingdom. He appeared with a cane and would flog anyone that he saw. Everybody in the village was terrified because they did not know where the spirit would appear. Some people thought that his spirit was distressed. Someone had killed him and that is why he's tormenting the whole village. Others thought that Chima was actually a wicked man and his spirit was a wicked one. Now, people began to suspect Chinelo. She must have killed her husband, that is why his spirit is not resting. So because of this, the Onuhu called the chief priest. He told the chief priest that he wanted Chinelo to swear. But the chief priest told them that why Chima's spirit was tormenting the kingdom was because Chima's killer had buried a charm with Chima the day he was buried. Everyone shouted. The chief priest told them that they had to dig out Chima's body, and once the charm comes up from under the ground, his killer will confess. And so that was done. Chima's body was brought out and the charm was seen. Immediately this was done, a woman ran up and cried and confessed that she was the one that killed Chima. Everyone was shocked. She explained that she was pregnant for Chima. Now, when Chima was coronated, she told Chima that she wanted to be the queen, but Chima said no. And because of that, she killed him. Everyone shouted, "You evil woman, you evil woman." And she was sentenced to death. Now, as this matter was settled, it was announced that Ikena will now become the new king. Many people were not happy because Ikena was known to be a useless man. However, the Onuhu and the cabinet members went ahead to coronate him. He had bribed them with gold. But they couldn't coronate him without the chief priest. So the chief priest came. He crowned Ikena and gave him the ofo. Ikena was so happy. Now, finally, he is king. And so Ikena sat on the throne as the new king. However, After a few minutes, he began to run mad. Ikena began to confess that he was the one that killed Nkiruka. He killed her because he wanted her. She had rejected him and therefore no one could have her. He killed his brother when he hugged him. A poison was in his hand and he rubbed that poison on Chima. He killed his brother because he wanted the throne. The woman was only a scapegoat. She was never pregnant for Chima. He only used her to cover his crime. The Onuhu and the cabinet members were surprised, but the chief priest was not. The chief priest told them that the throne was a sacred object of the gods. Only a man who has clean hands can become the king. Only he can sit on the throne. When a man who has blood on his hand sits on the throne, he will run mad. And so it was. Ikena ran mad. And eventually, he died. The chief priest announced that Chinelo should be brought back to the kingdom and to the palace because Ikena had driven her out after Chima had died. He told the cabinet members that Chinelo was already pregnant with Chima's son, and Chima's son was to be the future king. And so, the people brought Chinelo back into the palace. After 9 months, she gave birth to her son. They named him Ebubedike. I said I love for free Bobby. Afunko nyelo, amalunko nyemelo, amalo nyedimano nyedinjo.